Good evening. Call to order the Concord Township Zoning Commission meeting for Tuesday, April 2nd, 2019. It's a simple agenda this evening. I'm going to make a quick adjustment. Let's just jump into the work session. We'll move our election of chair and vice chair to the end of the meeting when we do our correspondence and minutes and all that good stuff. So, Heather, I know we've been updated or briefed on all of the changes. Is there anything in particular we need to discuss as far as the, give us any quick summaries on this? I mean, it's pretty straight up with what we've been talking about the last 2-3 months as we go over this.
Right, I can just highlight a couple things for the for your purpose, based on what we looked at last month and some of the small changes here. I'm not going to go into too depth, but and I kind of summarize these changes based in my email that I sent you on March 21st. But we took out a few of the proposed amendments that we looked at in March. Legal wanted to look at those a little bit more closely as far as limiting lots to one primary use. And then we were discussing the pole signs and the height of those signs on Cryle Road. And last month I presented to you some statistics on some of the more recent sign permit applications that were approved as far as square footage of signs and heights of signs. And it sounded like we wanted to reduce the sign heights that we were going to permit on Cryle Road. I was recommending 12-foot high. For reference, the Cryle crossing signs, those are about 10.5 feet. The Verizon one that we know on Cryle Road, that one is 30 feet in height. The Drug Mart ones, that one's a little bit taller, it's about 15 feet. They also did get a variance for the square footage of that sign, so that's a little bit bigger than what our code normally would allow. So those were some of the changes, and then the other change that's in here too is we came up with a definition for utility trailers. So we are going to add in with the parking of recreational vehicles. We wanted to regulate where those utility trailers might be parked at your property. So sometimes property owners own like a small little utility trailer, whether it be open or closed, for yard work and stuff like that. We wanted people to be able to continue to allow those on their properties, but make sure that we're defining them and the parking requirements are the same for like a recreational vehicle. So basically, at the building setback line, next to the house or behind the house on an approved surface. But other than that, one other item was adding one additional amendment in the section 37 under design standards, specifying that the township's preference is to have pitched roofs within our capital district and within the site plan development. So other than that, those were the changes from March to April, and I'm available for any other questions that you guys may have. Maybe look at this between now and then as well. So.
Any additional discussion or questions for Heather regarding this proposals?
I haven't looked through this. There's a lot of good work, and I didn't see anything that was questionable.
The only thing that brought up to me was the 175% for a corner lot, the sign.
The 100.
It's now at on 30.05 delta. It says delete the provision to allow a corner lot to have a larger sign at the corner.
Right.
Well, now it's down to 175% of the regular sign of the single lot, not on the corner. Isn't that still rather large?
Where are you reading this?
30.05 delta D.
I thought we took this out. Hold on a second.
It's now down to 100,
Provision to allow
it's
a corner lot to have a larger
175%.
sign.
Let me see where I am. 30.05 delta. Page 30.16.
I'm with you. I think there might be a typo here. So I know we were proposing to strike that out, not allowing them to combine them at the corner.
Yes.
I'm missing a page here. Hold on.
Yes.
Oh, there.
30.16.
It's down at sub A. Bonus sign, corner lot. One additional freestanding sign shall be permitted at the corner lot only in compliance with the following. The area of the freestanding identification sign complies with the section, and the total area of both freestanding signs does not exceed 175% of the maximum area permitted for signable sign, and
And we don't know.
yeah,
as we go
well,
back.
there's additional, yeah,
Yeah.
subpoints.
Oh, I think I'm missing a page here. Is what the
30.16.
Six.
Yeah.
So near the last.
There's supposed to be a page after that, too. Because this is,
1-9, yeah.
yeah, I'm missing a page here. Because if you recall, I should go grab the folder from last time. We were gonna strike out the provision that allowed them to combine the two signs and put them at the corner, to have one monstrous sign, what happened with the Verizon sign that allowed them to go up to 120 square feet. So we were proposing to strike that section. We'll grab
Like
this
it
one.
was addressed
Yeah,
on
go ahead, go ahead.
this. Delete the provision to allow a corner
what you
lot to have a
started.
larger sign
Over
at
so
the corner.
Hey, silly sign, right? Just look at Verizon. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, I'm missing the next page too. 17, 18.
No.
No.
Okay, here, yeah. Okay, so as the regulation currently states, in 30.05 D5, and then there's a subsection A, B, and C, we were, and somehow that page was not printed, but based on the draft version of proposed amendments that we were looking at last month, and that I'd still want to move forward with, even though it's not in front of you this evening, if we could amend these amendments to include striking out section 30.05 D5 C, which allowed the total area of both signs to be combined at the corner lot. I still want to propose to strike that out. And I think what this is allowing, what this is saying right here, Hiram, is that typically in most of the commercial districts, you're only allowed to have the one freestanding sign. However, if you're on a corner lot, we want to allow people to have signage on both streets. So between the two signs, or between the two signs on each street, you cannot have more than 175% of the maximum allowed. So the maximum allowed in most districts is 60 square feet. So if you wanted to have two, the total square footage of both those signs couldn't exceed 175% of 60 square feet.
Divided by two signs.
Right, divided by two signs, not combined. Is that, or
I just thought 175% was still high.
because you have to give some allowance for that
For
second
the
sign.
corner lot, yes,
Yeah,
I understand that.
okay.
But 175% is okay. But it's gotta be equally divided among the two signs. You can't have one at 120 and one at 55.
Well, the maximum for the one is 60. Neither one can
Okay,
go
all
over
right.
60.
All right,
But the combination of the two then is also capped
Okay.
at 175% of the 60.
okay,
Does that make
understood.
sense? So we could add into this amendment, as I indicated, striking section 30.05 D5C. check it. That probably is under the, at the very beginning of your books here. Right, if you're looking at the summary that I provided on page 4, under section 30.05D, I did indicate that we were deleting that provision to allow the corner lot to have a larger sign in the corner lot.
Oh, delete, okay, I see what you're
Yes,
saying.
sir.
Yeah, it just, the page just didn't get printed when this was put together for you folks.
Okay, all right.
Thank you for pointing that out. Is there anything else?
Heather, is there a 30.17 and 30.18?
There
Page.
are, yeah. The pages in front of you are only the pages that had proposed changes on it. Sorry,
So those pages remain the same.
yes, yeah. Although the 30.17 was inadvertently not printed, as pointed out, so.
Any additional discussion or, again, questions rather? If not, I believe our next step is to schedule a public hearing, which would be for our next meeting, which,
May
May
7th.
7th.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if the board is ready and wants to move forward with the amendments, I would recommend that we go ahead and initiate the amendments as indicated on the agenda. I labeled them I don't know, it's pretty lengthy, I don't know how you would want to.
I think we could just
Need-
enter
need
them
it all.
as, enter them as submitted to the zoning
Yeah.
commission on the agenda.
I think so, yeah.
Instead of
So there
trying
would
to
be
read.
amendments 1 through
Yeah.
12, because there are 12 separate sections of the zoning resolution.
I'm gonna be,
under
I was
proposed.
thinking I was gonna be out of town, but I'm gonna be all right. I'm good for
Okay.
the 7th.
Do you need to strike that one provision?
It's listed in here under 30.05D.
Right.
It says we had to delete
Yeah,
the provision.
deleting the
Last
provision
bullet.
to allow
So
the
it's
corner
just-
lot to have a larger sign.
Not in the
So
packet.
that,
Right.
it's included in here as the amendment, and then, is that acceptable then, just to reprint that page, is that? Do I have to have that right now in front of them, or can we just? vote
Yeah, if they
on
don't
it?
have it in front of them, I mean, they can amend it. I mean, they can move to strike it, so there's just a record that it's been taken out.
Okay.
Then approve the rest of it.
Is that right?
We're just,
You're taking out 30.05D5C, right?
but do
Well,
we
but
have to
it's-
have that just to schedule a public hearing?
No.
We're not voting on the amendments tonight, we're just gonna,
No.
okay.
No, but
But they should know that's coming out. The public hearing should know what's in front of the board.
Right.
well, that's on the agenda and it says deleted. So
Yeah,
Isn't that good enough then, Mike? Or I'm
Yeah.
Mike? Right?
Yeah, well, it is on there, delete.
right, it's on the agenda and it's in the front page of our, it's the same thing twice in our
Right.
presentation.
Yeah, it's-
Yeah, we've got it.
We just
Yeah.
delete
It's
the
covered.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
It's covered. It's covered twice. Wow. Next,
You
Thank
were really
you.
thorough.
check plus.
Okay, so then I will entertain a motion that we schedule, and again, as Heather said, just amendments 1 through 12 as submitted to the zoning commission for a public hearing on May 7th.
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. We have our public hearing scheduled for Tuesday, May 7th, to discuss the proposed zoning text amendments. Okay, now to the business of appointing our chair and vice chair for the next year. I'll make a motion to nominate Rich Peterson as chairman.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, it's my turn.
Sure. And we'll need a nomination for vice chair.
I vote we nominate Sue Germano, so Holsick. Germano, what's your next minute?
Maybe you could say my name.
And I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the motion carries. Our board for next year will be Rich and Sue, or our chairman and vice chairman, I'm sorry, our board. Do I have a motion, and then the next order of business tonight is the approval from the minutes of the March 5th meeting. And do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approve the minutes of the March 5th, 2019 meeting as written.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll abstain.
Abstain. Okay, so 4 ayes, 1 abstention. Correspondence of the zoning commission members, Rich?
Nothing.
Sue? Hiram?
Nothing.
Andy?
Just some banter back and forth with some residents on next door, but other than that, it's all good.
Okay,
Is that because you're a neighbor or because you're on the zoning commission?
People were asking questions about what was gonna happen with Chris taking, you know, the auditor's
Oh,
position,
so
how they
it's
were,
Nothing to do with the zoning commission.
they were asked, they were talking about, what else was there? There was a couple different topics that were going on. It was
The
pretty,
supermarket, as always.
yep.
pretty tame for the most part.
Okay. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I did have conversation or questions about what happens with trustee Galloway,
Right.
but again, that's not really zoning related, so. Audience participation, seeing none, we'll move. And next meeting, again, as previously stated, May 7th. And no further business, we'll adjourn the meeting.